up and like beyond amped about everything that Karras was doing. And I think Karras is someone who like it's like Karras is a nice, seems like a pretty quiet, shy dude that I think looks up to the Kyries and KDs of this team and knows that he has the potential to be great, but obviously isn't there yet. And I think getting that constant support from Kyrie is honestly awesome. And like, we both said like, we're not going to get emotional about this, but there is something to be said about Kyrie. And I know that he's had a lot of turmoil with other teams, whether that's Cleveland or Boston. And to be honest, I don't think any of us really know enough to really comment that much because I think he's also a lightning rod and people like to blame stuff on him. But all I can say is like him in Brooklyn, it's a great example of what it's like when a player is finally in a place, whether it's location, culture, team, all the above, where they're truly happy, because that's what he looks like when he's playing. Like the way that
I
people describe Steph Curry in the sense that he like brings a joy to the game and he lifts his teammates up and stuff like that. Kyrie doesn't have like the totally carefree. Like you can see him get agitated, you can see him like talk to teammates, and it gets a little bit more intense. But like you can tell watching the game that he has some backstory with the Nets, that whether he was a fan, obviously, which he was, or whatever, you can just tell that he is incredibly happy to be there. And I think you mentioned this, like this is not an attitude that we saw from him in Boston or in Cleveland.
no, this is a different Kyrie. First of all, he's grown up. Look, I
Yeah.
keep saying this. I was a mess until I was 30 years old. So I I I and it took a wife and a kid to just basically be like, look, dude, grow up. And um so I would judge Kyrie at that on that same measuring stick as well. Like, but I so Kyrie and Steph Curry, like it's not fair to compare them because Kyrie is like Kobe flavored Steph Curry. He's super
Right, exactly.
skilled, has all the skills of a like him and Steph are very similar skill wise. Kyrie is slightly better athletically. Kyrie is crazy strong. Like that, you look at the guy and you're like, wow, he looks kind of skinny. He's a small guard and all that. Kyrie is indescribably hidden strong. I see him stop and put bigger players on his back and still be able to rise up and finish. His base, what Kyrie's dad, I think his name is Dedrick, something like that, put in him is super core strength. That boy didn't miss any days doing crunches or leg lifts or something because he is so strong through the core and through the trunks of his legs. It allows him to just play ball in other areas that most small guards cannot. And it's incredible to see. But it's that he also has that Mamba in him. And I hate that, like, every time people, like, kind of say it to honor Kobe, I always kind of cringe because Kobe gave himself that nickname. I never respected anybody who kind of sat in their house and gave themselves a nickname. It was always very weird for me. But with Kyrie, it's he does have that Mamba killer instinct. He does have that ability to just it's not even an ability, it's an edge that he has, and it's a killer's edge. And I know I'm being flippant with the word killer, considering that there's domestic terrorists basically blowing up things and killing people for real. I think I should probably be more sensitive with that word, but the guy just has a ruthlessness about him. And people were saying that the Knicks are better than the Nets, and that the Nets are this is just another Boston Celtics disaster. And you want to know what? I took that shit personal. I felt very humbled and small that the Knicks even look somewhat better coached, more focused, more prepared to compete in today's NBA than the Nets. And I wanted our team to have a leader who would be willing and who would have that edge on it, that chip on his shoulder, and have that edge to him and say, you know what, this is crazy. The Knicks? Are you out your mind? We're the Nets. God damn it. And that's what Kyrie did tonight. He basically was like, fuck it. This is what we are. We're not losers. And let's win. And I love that from him tonight. Let's take a look at what's coming for the Nets. Right? Tonight, I don't want to just look at tonight in a vacuum. This is game 1 of 4 that we're not going to have Kevin Durant, right? The next one is super tough.
Yep.
Thursday night versus
Best
the
team in
Sixers.
basketball, right?
Huh?
Technically, I think best team in basketball right now.
They are 6-1. They do look pretty good. They're big. They play defense, and now they can shoot threes. So, it's ugly. I wonder if they'll rest Kyrie for that one and play him for Memphis the game after. I was hoping somehow KD could come back from Memphis or something like that could happen. But if we win one of these games, we would think it was Memphis, but I'm guessing Kyrie's going to try to play versus the Sixers. Let's talk about those two games first of all. Can we survive? Can we even, based off what we saw tonight, can we even compete in either one of those?
Yeah, it's funny. I think like every team or every fan has teams that they're afraid of and teams that they're not. And I think the Sixers are just a team. Maybe it goes back to the playoff series that I just don't really respect, and they also haven't done anything for me yet that like says that I should really respect them. And they have struggled. Look, I know that they've reformatted their team in a lot of different ways, and they got a new coach. But they have struggled against kind of the smaller, quicker teams. Like we've seen the Celtics give them the fits every single year, and so I do think that the Nets could use their different smaller guard lineups and like just kind of sacrifice that Embiid is gonna kill them because he's also a tough matchup for anyone, let alone Jared Allen. But yeah, I mean, like I don't know. The Sixers are a team that just doesn't give me the same fear of God, especially without that anchor late in games that they had with Jimmy. That was like the one thing that always scared me about that team was that there was the one guy that could get their own shot, and I think it's yet to be seen if they're gonna have that. Whereas like I know that at least when they're healthy, not right now, but when the Nets are fully healthy, they have two guys that I'd rather have with the ball late in their hands than the Sixers do.
That's true. The Sixers have a lot going for them.
Yep.
And now they can shoot the three a little bit better. I don't think they can shoot the three better than us. I don't think that they're a better offensive team than us. It's just I'm worried about them being able to out-physical us. Now, I'm very interested in that game because I always measure Jared Allen's progress into how he defends Joel Embiid. I'm really upset with this KD thing. Do you understand how this works? Like, I've done my research on this contact tracing thing. There's not much out there. What the hell happened with KD? Like, why are we losing him for 4 games? He had COVID, right?
Yeah, I guess the deal is, and I honestly don't totally understand it. And to be honest, I'm a little COVIDed out in terms of just reading about a lot of
I'm
stuff.
so done. Yeah. Same.
So, but what I can gather just generally is that it seems like there was probably someone in his immediate circle who's got it, and I guess that means that given that there's a long incubation period, that he's like they don't want obviously the risk of him spreading it,
right.
But it's definitely a huge bummer, and it honestly shows that the playoffs could be an absolute like nightmare because look, I think the NFL seems to be willing to do anything it wants to put players at risk. I think Adam Silver and his deputies care a little bit more about players' health, but
Definitely.
which is great. At the same time, though, it does mean that I don't know what they're going to do if a superstar gets COVID or is even just in contact with someone who has COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, look, it honestly couldn't have come at a worse time for the Nets given the way that they were playing. But that's why I think today's game against the Jazz was so important. And it will be interesting, as you mentioned, how they kind of use Kyrie given the compressed schedule that we have going forward.
Yeah, I say protect them at all costs. I mean, right now we're not a playoff team. You know that shouldn't bother me, but it does. I think we should be setting a tone from right out. If we're one of these great teams, sure, the Miami Heat started out 9-8. I don't think that we should be 9-8. I think we should be better than that. I think we should be a better team than that. And I think we have to send some messages. But I just don't see how I would not play Kyrie back to back. I would not force anything to win these games. But I just don't want. The stink of losing is hard to wash off, and we were looking bad in the town, I love giving these Knicks fans. I mean, I hate giving these Knicks fans any bit of satisfaction. And not that I think things will end up like this, but I do think they have good things going for them. The Memphis game, I would rest Kyrie for that one. I would try to see what I could do with Jared Allen and in the squad with this rotation that they tried today. I think I'd prefer to have Harris over Brown, but I'm willing to see how that experiment works out in the coming days.
And by the way, the one thing we should mention, just for all the front office fans, is that so the Sixers do play on Wednesday, so they're going to have their own back-to-back, and so Wednesday they're going to be home. Thursday they're coming to Brooklyn. So it'll be interesting to see if Embiid plays in both also, because obviously we know that he's typically gotten rested in back-to-backs.
Very astute.
So I mean that could also play a role. And the good thing is that they play before the Nets do. So we'll have an idea. If Embiid plays Wednesday, I guess we'll see. But I guess it goes both ways, though, because if Embiid doesn't play against the Nets, I don't know if that makes you want to play Kyrie more just to get the win and then sit him in against the Grizzlies, or if that makes you want to play him less. I don't know.
No, I want to send Philly a message. I want to give them an L. They're 6-1. I want to show them what we're about. These are teams that we're going to see in the playoffs. We want to send them messages. And I would love to be able to tell them, like, we slapped you without Kevin. So imagine what we're gonna do when we see you in the playoffs with Kevin. So I'd like to see that. But of course, most important, protect Kyrie from himself. I know he wants to win. I see it, man. The guy has the eye of the tiger. The sage is working.
He's involved in loose balls. Part of what's annoyed me more than anything, honestly, early in the year is that him and KD have been on the floor more than almost every other guy.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones who have gotten their hands dirty more than anybody, which was why I liked that Kyrie. I mean, obviously you're not going to bench Kyrie, but it's not like he's acting like the superstar that doesn't have anything to prove. Like he's involved on loose balls, jump balls, rebounding. He's been active, tip outs. I mean, he's all around.
He sure is. Look, man, we're very lucky. We have a bona fide superstar, a guy who could take us to the next level, and most importantly, we have a guy that gives a fuck. And having a guy that gives a fuck is super important, and we're not far off of who we're supposed to be. You know, right now we're the fourth best offense in the league. I think we could be so much better than what we've been.
Yep.
We're just starting.